India intensified strengthening of defences along the line of actual control, especially around the crucial Depsang plains, after co-commanders of both India and China failed to achieve a breakthrough, despite remaining engaged for about 14 hours at Moldo.
As of now, there is no indication that the Chinese are willing to pull back. Since the incursion was initially made by China, the initiative to pull back also must come from them. But as of now, there is no such indication.
India adopted a firm stance, telling China to initiate disengagement from all friction points, including the Depsang plains, as China had unilaterally attempted to change status quo at the LAC.
The ball now is in China's court to make sure that they pull back and finally there can be a disengagement.
China continued to adopt a belligerent tone, demanding that India withdraw from peaks occupied as part of Operation Snow Leopard at Gurung Hill, Magar Hill, Rizangla and Richingla, south of Pangong Tso, and certain dominating heights north of Pangong Tso, and at Gogra and Galwan flashpoints.
उसको लगता है कि वो हिंदुस्तान की फौज के ऊपर प्रेशर बनाएगा और किसी ना किसी तरीके से हिंदुस्तान की फौज पीछे आज हट जाएगी। तो चीन को मालूम नहीं है कि हिंदुस्तान की फौज को वो अब डरा नहीं सकता है, वो अब बौखला गया है और खुद डर गया है।
China has also learned to have deployed additional surface-to-surface and surface-to-air missile batteries close to the LAC in Tibet to counter India's air power. With no significant breakthrough, India is now deploying for the long haul. The outcome of the Moldo meeting will be discussed at the China Study Group to evolve the next course of action, as India remains firm on a roadmap for Chinese disengagement, de-escalation and eventual de-induction from the LAC. As of now, the situation along the line of actual control is extremely tense, and with China refusing to vacate heights along the line of actual control, India is also intensifying deployment along the LAC. Simultaneously, additional forces have been mobilized to be deployed along the line of control with Pakistan to ensure that Pakistan does not fish in troubled waters. With Abhishek Bhalla and cameraman Kripal Singh in Leh, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. I want to quickly bring into this conversation Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma. He's the former co-commander of this Fire and Fury Corps here in Ladakh. And General, your take on the joint statement, is it, can you trust China on this joint statement, or does the devil lie in the detail? China has no intention of going back. These are only words and more words.
Okay, Gaurav, thank you for inviting me. The fact of the matter is that this is a very tedious kind of discussion taking place. If you follow what was decided in Moscow, there was a desire to have put aside the issue of conventional war, which meant de-escalation, which meant that getting the reserve forces that he brought from outside to move away from this area and go back. So first issue is to get the conventional war out of the thing. Second issue is to ensure that no skirmish takes place or firing takes place at the places where the troops are now face to face, handshaking distance, especially in the areas across Spangur Gap. So, to do that, you require to make sure that it doesn't happen again, because you rightly said there is an erosion of trust here. So the erosion of trust means, even if you disengage, the problem can happen next day only. Somebody would start firing, because there are no methods left now to, after disengagement, this problem doesn't happen. So the issue of disengagement also implies what is going to happen after the disengagement. After the disengagement, there is no confidence building measures, there is change rules of engagement. So there is a need for sorting out how do we ensure that you get out. And third is that he doesn't want to vacate these two critical areas, it seems, apparently, the north bank of Pangong Tso and the Depsang plains. Now that, these all things actually bring the whole thing back to a full stop. there is no movement forward. Probably,
Yes.
I would guess that some issues have been decided and they have gone back to their respective masters to get some clearance. That's why one of these statements says that there will be a next round of talks. So the next round of talks, they'll bring back from their masters
Yes.
what are the answers to be given, to be placed across in the next round of talks.
Very, very interesting. So next round of talks. But General, in your appreciation, is China only buying time? And if I may take us back once again to 1962, we have talked about it in the past, but given the current situation, even in 1962, China said India and China are friends, they'll never go to war. And suddenly in October, the 20th of October, China attacked us. Can China do that once again in October?
Look, what China wants to do, it is their business, and we shouldn't be bothered about it. If we are prepared, which we are today, and we are prepared in a very good form, because the defenses have been prepared in last 4 months to a level which is much higher than what existed earlier. The troops are in much larger form, trained, practiced. To do an operation like what did in Spangur Gap, that formation would have practiced this earlier. So all these things have been done here. This time it is not 62. In fact, most of these children, their parents wouldn't have been married in 1962. So there is no 62 mentality here. There is a new thought process altogether to say, make sure, okay, if it is October, so be it. November, so be it. If you want to disengage and de-escalate, so be it. But then it has to be done on our terms.
Very interesting. So this is a much more confident India. And General, you're absolutely right. I've interacted with officers on ground at multiple levels, from young company commanders to senior officers. And you're absolutely right. This confidence is there that China may try something, but China will not get away like 1962. Also the employment of air power. But before we take this conversation forward, we must talk about deployment and infrastructure development for two fronts, technically three fronts. So you have LAC China, LOC Pakistan. You also have to tackle general winter and COVID together. With the enemy at the gates and winter around the corner, the focus now is on ramping up defenses at the line of actual control. With India-China standoff entering its 5th month and no disengagement in sight, the focus has now shifted to operational logistics. All efforts are being made to ensure that more than 40,000 troops deployed at the LAC are adequately fed, clothed and sheltered to tackle the approaching harsh winters. India today witnessed military convoys headed both towards the line of actual control and the line of control, carrying men and material. One of the biggest convoys of military vehicles en route Ladakh, and deployment along the line of actual control is only set to intensify with no major breakthrough in talks between co-commanders of India and China. India also learnt hard lessons during the Kargil war. Ever since, the infrastructure along the border belt has got the much needed boost. In times of conflict, it's the supply lines that make the crucial difference between victory and defeat.
There has been a massive infrastructure push in the last few months in Ladakh amid the India-China tussle. And it's not just road connectivity in the forward areas, but also better roads are being worked upon in the mainland.
There have been more than 3,000 ceasefire violations by Pakistan along the line of control. This is the highest number in a year in the past 17 years. Conscious that any misadventure by Pakistan could lead to trouble, India is speedily bolstering infrastructure at the line of control. For India, it's a preparation not just for two fronts, but also the hostile weather being the third front. It's also equally clear that the country with better roads, bridges and infrastructure has better chances of emerging on top. And that is why this race against time to build infrastructure both at the LAC and the LOC. The army's battle against two hostile neighbors and General Winter has only just begun. With Abhishek Bhalla and cameraman Kripal Singh in Ladakh, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. General, you've commanded the Leh Corps, Depsang, DBO, Siachen Glacier. In your appreciation, do we see China and Pakistan coming together in a pincer move to pin us down in that part of Ladakh?
I don't want to get into words like pincers and etc. There's no pincer that matters to the armies which are well trained and well located. But you know what is happening in Pakistan is also an issue of anxiety. Look, in the course of last 2 days, how the opposition has got together and Nawaz Sharif has spoken from London, and you know all this is new kind of pressure being built on Pak Army. So Pak Army, every time it gets under this kind of pressure, they want to break out and increase the issues across on the line of control. So we have to be watchful, and we have compartmentalized people across who are fighting on the line of control and line of actual control. So you know it's an issue of anxiety, but I'm sure we are already ready and poised to that front.
Okay.
And also in the case of China, the quantum of force that he has got here actually implies a limited war. He is not brought forces to actually take out an all-out conventional war across the border. So you know, we are also must have war game. There must be war gaming it regularly as to what happens when one front opens and the second front opens up, and how do we manage it. I think deliberate thought would have gone into this already.
Fair enough. That's very comforting. That actually sounds comforting. But General, as you were referring to the situation in Pakistan, for the benefit of our viewers, Pakistan is in turmoil and deep turmoil. Two big reasons. Opposition parties have ganged up. They've come together against the person who's often described as Taliban Khan, or Im the Dim even within Pakistan, their Prime Minister Imran Khan. They want him out. They think he's a military puppet. That's what they say. Pashtuns, proud Pashtuns are out on the streets of Pakistan in large numbers. And is this the reason that the Pakistan army may want to shift focus from internal trouble to the line of control?
The tide is changing rapidly. Imran Khan is facing the biggest challenge of his political career. Pakistan's major opposition parties have launched an alliance to hold a countrywide protest movement to oust Imran.
आज आप अपने पूरे निजाम को देखें। असेंबली जाली, आपका वजीर आजम जाली, सेनेट चेयरमैन के खिलाफ जो अदम एतमाद हुआ और वहां जो कुछ हुआ, मेरी जुबान में आज चेयरमैन सेनेट जाली.
At a joint press conference, a 26-point joint resolution was adopted. The opposition parties have accused Imran of failing on multiple counts, from the economy to foreign policy.
साबिक वज़ीर आज़म यूसुफ रज़ा गिलानी साहब ने कहा था कि यहां स्टेट विद इन स्टेट कायम है, जिसे बर्दाश्त नहीं किया जा सकता. दुख की बात यह है कि अब मामला स्टेट विद इन द स्टेट से आगे निकलकर स्टेट अबव द स्टेट तक जा पहुंचा है.
The armed forces, which have ruled Pakistan for half of its history since independence in 1947, deny meddling in politics or electoral wrongdoing.
और सिलेक्टेड वज़ीर आज़म के साथ हमने एक्सचेंज नहीं करना। जहाँ तक सियासी बात किसी फौजी की क़यादत के साथ, वो तो आइन कहता है हो नहीं सकता। आइन के मुताबिक, उनके ओथ के मुताबिक वो तो हो नहीं सकता है।
The alliance's demands are that elections be held immediately in a transparent manner and that electoral reforms be passed in order to ensure free and fair polls. Imran is facing trouble on multiple fronts. The pandemic is hurting the already battered economy and the sword of blacklisting by anti-terror watchdog FATF is hanging over the government. And now the opposition is rising in unison against him. Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to quickly bring in my colleague Abhishek Bhalla for more on the story. Abhishek, what we're seeing is a massive spike in ceasefire violations at the LOC. So is this the Pakistan Army trying to divert attention from internal trouble, or is the Pakistan Army trying to please their masters in China?
Gaurav, definitely this is not a coincidence. We've always spoken about the nexus between the Chinese and the Pakistanis when they want to target India. And this perhaps is the correct time for them to do so, because India has been involved in a standoff with China for over 4 months now. And the kind of activities taking place not just at the line of control, but also in mainland Kashmir with terror activities. It is very clear that it's not just a two-front war that India is bracing. It's definitely a 2.5-front war. And if you add the winter to it, it's a 3-front war that the Indian Army is gearing up for. But make no mistake about it, as far as the logistics are concerned, the Indian Army is all set for a long haul at the line of actual control, and it's always been prevalent.
The Indian Army and the Indian Air Force together at it. Abhishek, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. General Sharma, as always, it's a privilege to have you on the broadcast. But a last thought, imagine a country like China. It wants to take on America, but it needs Pakistan's help to counter India. I leave you with that thought. That is all we have time for on this India First special from Ladakh. Many thanks for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.